Now here is the risk that the Browns had to take with I love you, Cleveland, and I love you, Ohio, and a very pleasant welcome to this week's version of Bonus Time with Drennan here on the Big Play Sports Network. Hi, I'm Bruce Drennan along with Ryan Smith. We welcome you to this week's show. Ryan, how you doing, partner?
Oh, I'm doing tremendous, Bruce. We finally know what the Super Bowl matchup's looking like. I'm excited for that. Got a couple weeks. That stupid thing they call the Pro Bowl games we got in between. So whatever, that is what it is. We'll get to the Super Bowl eventually.
Well, we're looking forward to this rematch between Philadelphia and Kansas City. We'll address that here in the first couple of segments. We're also going to be featuring Hanford Dixon of the Hanford Dixon Show here on the Big Play Sports Network. We're going to pick Hanford's brain about the big matchup and the playoffs thus far, as well as the future of the Cleveland Browns. Oh, God, help us, please. Anyway, coming your way from Cape Coral, Florida, where I've been wintering with my beloved wife, Jacqueline, and it's great to have you with us. We want to get started right away, and we'll do so with the Cavaliers. I want to start with the Cavs because first things first, the Cavaliers, of course, coming off a victory against Detroit, 110-91. And as a result, the Cavaliers' record now at 37-9. Only Oklahoma City has a better record at 37-8. This victory saw Garland score 22 points with 5 rebounds and 7 assists. Mitchell 21 points with 6 assists, and Allen 15 points, 11 boards. Mobley 11 points, 14 boards. Off the bench, Jerome 15 points, and a very important win for the Cavs because of being defeated by Houston 135-131 on Saturday. That was a home defeat, and the Rockets had wound up beating the Cavs for the second time in just 4 days, and this was the first time this season that the Cavs had lost 2 games in a row at home, and this losing Friday at Philadelphia. So it snaps the 3-game losing streak. Important indeed, especially with tonight's game against Miami down here in the state of Florida. LeVert, Okoro, Wade. Wade's definitely not going to play. I don't know if you have an update on LeVert or Okoro, Ryan, but obviously the Cavs needed this win against Detroit desperately to snap that little streak.
Yeah, the Cavs are looking a little bit human here in the month of January, but that's okay. People are a little bit panicked, but I suppose that's what happens when you look like easily the best team in the league for quite a while as we're getting here to the half-point mark. Injuries are piling up, but that's what happens in a long NBA season. The break, the All-Star break, will give some guys some much-needed rest, and big shout-out to JB Bickerstaff, I want to say, because he's doing exactly what the Pistons right now what he did with the Cavs. He's getting them trending in the right direction, and then you mentioned the Rockets. They are a damn good young team. They're going to be scary for the next couple of years, but all things trending up for the Cavaliers, despite looking a little human in the month of January.
All right, let's switch to the NFL, where Philadelphia did a job on upstart Washington 55-23 in one of the championship games, the NFC Championship. Turnovers again. Turnovers, the main reason that this turned into a romp as the Eagles get a chance to avenge their loss to the Chiefs 2 Super Bowls ago. And 4 turnovers to be exact. Washington had not committed a turnover until this game. How about that? 4 turnovers to be exact, including that critical fumble by Austin Eckler in the third quarter when Washington was trailing 34-23 in the ballgame. How about the way that this game started? With a brilliant 18-play, time-consuming drive by Daniels and the Commanders that resulted in a field goal to give them a 3-0 lead. Then the ensuing kickoff and the very first play from scrimmage, a guy by the name of Saquon Barkley broke loose and goes 60 yards for the touchdown. Unbelievable. He finished with 118 yards and 3 touchdowns. Amazing. Just amazing. Eagles quarterback Jalen Hurts was also fantastic, in my opinion. He rushed for 3 touchdowns. And by the way, the 55 points scored by the Eagles is the most of any team in a conference championship game since the merger back in 1970. Hurts, wearing a brace on his left knee, threw for 246 yards and a touchdown. A.J. Brown caught 6 passes for 96 yards and a touchdown. This will be Philadelphia's 5th Super Bowl appearance. Their only win came in 2017 when Nick Foles, as an honorary captain on that team that year, led the way in a big upset of Tom Brady and the New England Patriots. Now, how about that attempted goal line stand? And Franklin Luvo kept diving over the line, encroachment penalty after encroachment penalty after encroachment penalty. And think about it. You can only penalize a team half the distance to the goal line so far. When you're on the 1-inch line, where are you going to penalize them? So that's why the referee was well within his authority to warn the Commanders that as at his discretion, he could award a score if this conduct continues. Now think about it, quote, this conduct continues? Now, we've never experienced this before. Should we change the rugby rule back to the way it was? I say no. I like the scrum. And by the way, I applaud the creativity of the Philly play calling in this game because it was very, very clever calls that they provided for Hurts. The Eagles have had the best defense in the NFL all season long. But as I've been saying, now for years, you've got to be able to put up 30 to 40 points to win a Super Bowl. Well, how about Philly scoring 55 in this affair? Wow. What a game it should be between Philadelphia and Kansas City. I thought the Eagles' offensive line was excellent as well, especially with the injuries to Cam Jurgens and Landon Dickerson trading snaps to weather injuries. Head coach Sirianni's hiring of defensive coordinator Vic Fangio was a brilliant move, and they are the best at stripping the ball in the entire NFL. They're the best at it. Ryan, your comments?
Yeah, I know the margin of victory between their victory against the Rams in the divisional round and then now the Commanders in the championship round was quite different, but a lot of the same I saw in both of these games from the Eagles. You score early on the first possession. In the first game, it was Jalen Hurts. Obviously, this game you mentioned, it was Saquon. And then you just keep the foot on the pedal the whole game. Then you can dictate everything else with Saquon. You force turnovers. You protect Jalen Hurts, and that's the recipe. Now, the thing is, for the Eagles, the Rams and Commanders aren't very good at stopping the run. However, now you're going against the Chiefs, who are very good at stopping the run. So we'll see if Saquon can continue this magical run and get Philly back to the promised land. But it's going to be a lot harder to do against the Chiefs than it was against the Rams and Commanders.
Well, that's true. However, the big difference in this matchup, and next week on our show, we'll be previewing, giving you history of the Super Bowl. I'll do all kinds of research for you. We'll have a lot of good sidebar tidbits. But the difference in this rematch from 2 years ago, Philadelphia didn't have Barkley 2 years ago, and I'm extremely curious to see the difference indeed that makes. It might be the factor of the difference that enables them to knock off this history-making Kansas City team. When we come back, we'll talk about that Kansas City-Buffalo game next. Bonus time with Drennan. Big Play Sports Network. Don't forget Hanford Dixon of the Hanford Dixon Show here on Big Play coming up in the next couple of segments, and looking forward to having my old friend on. Let's talk about this Kansas City victory over Buffalo, 32-29. You know, I have said for 3 years, until somebody proves that they can beat this championship Kansas City team, I'll take the Chiefs. Again, this proved to be the point, as Patrick Mahomes threw for 245 yards and a touchdown, and he rushed for 2 touchdowns. So once again, this amazing superstar got to hoist the AFC trophy and earned the right to win a record-setting third straight Super Bowl. Now, this is now the fourth time the Chiefs ended the Bills' season in the playoffs. And for this great Buffalo team, it's yet another devastating end to a promising season that they thought this would finally be their year. Former Brown Kareem Hunt played a great game and he scored a TD. Xavier Worthy had 6 catches for 85 yards and a TD. James Cook ran for 85 yards and 2 touchdowns, and the Bills were not going to let Travis Kelce beat them. They smothered him all game long, holding him to merely 2 receptions for a mere 19 yards. Now, what this does to me is show how many more weapons Mahomes and Kansas City indeed do have. This is the 8th time Kansas City and Buffalo have met since 2021. Buffalo's 4-0 against the Chiefs in the regular season, but the Chiefs are 4-0 against Buffalo in the playoffs. For Buffalo, this is the first time in NFL history to be eliminated 4 times in a 5-year span. Once again, Buffalo is denied a trip to the Super Bowl since drafting Josh Allen. Remember, under Marv Levy and quarterback Jim Kelly, the Bills won 4 straight AFC titles in 1990, 91, 92, and 93, and they lost all 4 of those Super Bowl games. Josh Allen is who I wanted the Browns to draft the year that we took Baker Mayfield. Now, there's no telling how Allen or the Browns would have done if we had drafted him. However, I'm confident the Browns wouldn't have been forced to make this disastrous trade with Houston for Deshaun Watson that has put the franchise in the uncertain, precarious dilemma we find ourselves in now. Some fans criticized me back then, saying, we can't take Allen. He went to Wyoming. I humbly ask those idiots, where did Johnny Unitas go to school? How about Terry Bradshaw? How about Patrick Mahomes? Oh, that's right. He went to that quarterback factory, Texas Tech. The Bills didn't lose this game because of Allen. He was great again. 22 of 34, 2 touchdowns. He rushed for 39 yards. And I believe, like Gene Steratore, who's the best, that he did make that first down on that controversial 4th down call in the 4th quarter. I can't emphasize enough the game that Xavier Worthy played was so significant in this outcome. Not only because the Bills did such a tremendous job on Kelce, but get this. Last spring, Buffalo owned the 28th pick in the NFL draft. They traded that pick to Kansas City, and Kansas City took Worthy, who, by the way, was clocked as the fastest player ever in the history of the NFL scouting combine. How about that? Now, this was Kansas City's 12th 1-score win this season. This Kansas City dynasty just finds ways to win time and time again. And by the way, that Mahomes fumble marked his first turnover since mid-November. Credit should also be given to defensive coordinator Steve Spagnuolo and his defense, because they blitzed at the right time, played a major role in this victory. Chris Jones and his defensive line teammates were a top 10 defense against the rush during the year, allowing 4 yards per rush. Again, it proves you don't have to have the best defense in the NFL to excel in the playoffs or even top 3 or top 5. You got to have a good defense. No question about it. Even in a high-scoring game, it can make the difference. So as long as Spagnuolo is the defensive coordinator, the Chiefs fans have nothing to fear. Another factor is the Chiefs kicker, Harrison Butker. He's money. He remains perfect in the postseason since last year, going 15 of 15 on playoff field goal attempts since 2023. So Kansas City's a 1.5 or 2-point favorite over Philadelphia in the upcoming Super Bowl. Philadelphia, by the way, has decided to wear their home green jerseys. That's their choice. The AFC and the NFC rotate that, like baseball used to rotate home field advantage in the World Series. They don't do that anymore. The Chiefs white will be wearing their white road jerseys. And by the way, if you're superstitious, the team wearing the white jerseys have won 16 of the last 20 Super Bowls. Only 2 teams in the last 10 years have won wearing their home colors. Guess who they are? The Kansas City Chiefs and the Philadelphia Eagles. Ryan?
Well, Bruce, history repeats itself. That's all I can say. But maybe in a parallel universe, the Browns did draft Josh Allen in 2018, and we're losing to Patrick Mahomes every year in the playoffs. That's probably way better, and a lot of people would take that over our current situation right now. But I think Ryan Clark said it best, Bruce. You're going to have so many certified Hall of Famers, first ballot, no doubter quarterbacks that are going to be sized for their jackets in Canton one day. Maybe without a Super Bowl ring. Like Joe Burrow was there once, didn't get it. But even in Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen's case, they're not even have a Super Bowl appearance because they have to keep going through the dark empire that is the Kansas City Chiefs and the second greatest player ever in Patrick Mahomes year after year after year. And he just runs the NFL. So it'll be interesting to see. But credit to the Chiefs. They find a way no matter what. And you talk about the weapons that Kansas City always seems to have to find or seems to acquire. And I wonder if those weapons are truly weapons on every team or if Patrick Mahomes himself turns them into weapons. It's probably a little bit of both. But Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs are making history right now. It's hard to hate, but at the same time, it gets monotonous. But I have appreciation for greatness, as so should everybody else.
So next week's show, we're going to have Mark Lawrence handicap the big game for us, as well as giving you all the history. We'll have a fun show next week on Bonus Time with Drennan. Before we go to break and welcome Hanford Dixon, I do want to add this. I don't know about you, but I am getting nauseous over these Manning Brothers commercials. I wouldn't buy that pizza they're pushing if I was Tom Hanks in Castaway, deserted for 4 years on an island with no other human contact. Oh, give us a break already. I'll tell you one thing, though. Major League Baseball should learn, because they don't market themselves like the NFL does. Hanford Dixon next. Bonus Time with Drennan. Big play. Hi, Bruce Drennan here from my good friends out in Benner Nissan. Drove the Nissan Rogue, my wife and I, down here for this wonderful experience in Florida. Can't brag enough about it. Used to have the Murano. Love that too. Check out the all-new 2025 Nissan Kicks, the exclusive intelligent around view monitor. Take advantage of the new Nissan Maintenance Care that, of course, gives you 3 oil changes. It provides the first 2 years, 24,000 miles on qualifying new 2025 Nissan vehicles. And of course, Miller Nissan been in business for so many years, teaming up now with Infinity of Akron, Infinity of Beechwood. Such a selection for you. Service staff, right on down from the top, of course, Ray Sminchak, the owner, Jamie, he partnered with the Infinity groups. And you're talking about a generation family-owned, operated company, certainly emphasizing and focusing on the high level of customer care and service, pillar in the local community. I have been teamed up with them and proud to be their spokesperson now for several years. I swear by Menor Nissan and now Infinity of Akron, Infinity of Beechwood. Love them, and you will too. Service department, second to none. They encourage you to come on out and test drive a vehicle. You won't regret it. Go to the website. That's menornissan.com. Get more information. menornissan.com. I love you, Mentor Nissan. You know, I am often asked, of all the athletes I've covered in my broadcasting career that I have become friends with over all these decades, I got to tell you, my guest Hanford Dixon's right there at the top of the list. How are you, old friend?
I am great, my friend. I was gonna tell you, I was talking to Ryan and he told me that I was gonna come on your show, and I could tell the way he was looking at me. And I wanted to look back at him, and I wanted to say, hey, I don't have a choice, because whatever Bruce calls, how the hell are you gonna say no to the great Bruce Drennan? So
Love you too. I'll tell
so
you what, it brings back so many memories back when Hanford was such a star cornerback for the Browns. We used to do a weekly show in person at a
yeah,
Tony Roma's rib
yeah.
place at Great Northern, and Hanford would bring his teammates, and it was standing room only. There was a line outside to get in, Hanford. Remember that? What a tremendous experience that was, those years we did that show.
Oh, Bruce, I tell you, it was just a great time at Tony Roma's. I don't even think Tony Roma's is open anymore. But
No,
anyway,
no,
it
no.
was it was during the time to me when obviously we had a lot of players that would come through, because everybody wanted to come through to our show because they wanted to be a part of it. And that was the time pretty much when the Cleveland Browns players, you could touch them, you could feel them. I mean, they didn't need all these agents with them, or all the bodyguards and all that
Yeah.
stuff. And I'm not knocking any of them because of that right now. I mean, times have changed. But
Right.
boy, you talking about a good time. I mean,
Uh,
you're exactly right. The place was just
oh,
absolutely packed.
line outside, people couldn't get in. They were waiting line to get in. We're going to talk about the Browns in the next segment, but I want to pick your brain on these playoffs. First topic. How about this Washington team with this rookie quarterback, particularly the fact that Daniels is a rookie, and they knock off Tampa Bay and our old buddy Baker Mayfield in Tampa. Then they knock off Detroit. I mean, yeah, they got their lunch handed to them by this great Philadelphia team. But first comment I want on this Washington team and this young quarterback.
Bruce, what this kid has done, I mean, what he accomplished this year has just been unbelievable, outstanding. I had a chance to go and watch him play firsthand. Obviously, when we played him there in Washington at their place, I went to that ball game. And just to sit in the stands and watch him and the things that he was able to do is just amazing. I mean, this kid has got ice water just running through his veins, because nothing seems to phase him. I mean, if he's down, I mean, he's got that belief that he can always come back and help this football team win ball games. And it's for a rookie to get as far as he did. I'm talking about a rookie quarterback. It's just amazing, because now in the era that we're in right now, a lot of times you see a lot of teams, what they want to do is they want to bring a quarterback in, regardless of where they draft him. They want to let him sit, and they want to let him wait a few years and learn the system and learn what's going on in the NFL before they throw him into the fire. But I've always been a believer against all that. And because I think if you are the player that they thought you could be when they draft you, I thought, you got to throw him in there, because he's going to make some mistakes. And
Yeah,
if he's that player, he's going to learn from those mistakes. And what's going to happen is he's going to do nothing but get better
yeah,
and
yeah,
better and better.
yeah.
And, it's funny, because I know we're going to talk about the Browns, so I was going to jump to us at that quarterback situation, but I'll leave that alone. But yeah, this kid Daniels has
Yeah.
just been
How about
outstanding.
Minnesota? How about Minnesota and Detroit going down the way they did after the high anticipation and expectations of their fans?
Well, you know who I was really shocked at? I was obviously Minnesota has had just a great year, and but Detroit is the team that really shocked me. And then you have to say this: Detroit has had a lot of injuries. I mean,
Yeah,
but at this time of the year, everybody has a lot of injuries, and you got to be the next man up. But you kind of you can't help but fall in love with Detroit and the way they do things. And when he said, "I'll bite their kneecap off,"
I know, I know. And they're coaching his gambling on fourth down.
right.
What a devastating ending to their season. Amazing. And Baltimore, too, losing to Buffalo. I mean, Buffalo can't get through Kansas City, but Baltimore had Kansas City at home in the AFC Championship last year, and Mahomes beat them. So they got to be really feeling down, too.
Well, that's a game that really, really shocked me out of all of them was the Baltimore losing to the Buffalo Bills because, and Ozzie and I are best friends, and I pretty much talk to him. I would say if I don't talk to him every day, I'm shocked. But that Baltimore team, this was the team for them to do it. This was the team for them to play against the Kansas City Chiefs and beat the Kansas City Chiefs and go to the Super Bowl. But I can tell you this, they are hurt. They are disappointed, but they have no one to blame but themselves because as well as I do, when you get you cannot turn the ball over. I mean, you just can't do it in these big games. And that's what they did. Lamar had the big interception. He had the fumble. And then, Bruce, my heart just went out to this kid, the tight end. I mean, my heart just went out to him because you talk about Andrews.
Yeah.
You're talking about a kid that Lamar, when he's in trouble, as well as I do, that's who he's looking for. He's looking for Andrews. And this kid has been Mr. Reliable. And for him to fumble that one ball and then on the 2-point conversion, the ball in his pocket, 9 out of 10 times, 10 out of 11 times, he is going to catch that ball. And a lot, Bruce, I just found out this, a lot of people don't know about him. This kid has got diabetes. And he have to, whenever he goes on the field and he come back and he sits on the bench, he checks his sugar. And if he needs a shot, he'll take a shot or whatever he needs to get him ready for the next play. Yeah. But I just didn't like everybody jumping on him and just saying the horrible things they said about Mark Andrews because no one feels as bad about this thing as he does. And what you have to give Lamar a lot of credit after that game. Lamar went up to him, grabbed him, he hugged him, he gave him a kiss, and he let him know that you win this thing together and you lose it together. You know what I thought of? I thought of the like the AFC Championship game that we had when we played against Denver. I was thinking about Ernest Biner. And you remember Ernest Biner had the ball going in the end zone and fumbled the ball. And Ernest had a hell of a game. I mean, without him, we wouldn't have even been in that football game. So that made me think about that and how we all pulled together. But it was just these playoffs, man. They're just so excited. It's just sad that pretty soon this whole thing is going to be over with.
I know. Well, this Kansas City Philly matchup has got one factor in it. I want to get your comment on this, and then we'll go to break and talk about the Browns. There's one big factor that was not involved, not a factor 2 years ago when they met, and that's Saquon Barkley. Oh. I am so curious to see if he makes the difference. He's a difference maker. But man, this is good. This matchup is going to be classic. And if anybody can knock them off, if they don't curtail Barkley, I mean, how about this game? The 18-play, time-consuming drive to start the game, resulting in a field goal, and then the ensuing kickoff, and Barkley breaks loose for 60 on the first play.
And Bruce, what they're doing is they're doing it mostly by running the football. You're exactly right. I mean, this kid, and then it's funny because for them to let Barkley get away is unbelievable because, they tried to devalue that running back position and they said they wasn't worth the money that they were getting, which I think is absolutely insane. And then you have Jerry Jones saying that he couldn't have helped their football team. But this guy, Bruce, he's got such great vision when he gets the football and he can find that hole. And he's got the speed, as you know, as soon as he sees a hole opening up, that he can take it the distance all the way. And then also, too, I look at some of this stuff, and then the tackling in the NFL today is just absolutely horrible. You got guys coming up, and you're closing your eyes, and the thing that, the first thing I would say if we was playing a guy like Barkley, is guys, it's very, very important that you wrap him up. I don't care if he dragged you 2 yards, 3 yards, but you have to wrap him up. You have to put your arms around him because this kid is just electric. This kid is exciting. And again, we all know he could take it all the way every single time, but he's really, really helped Hurts. I mean, he's really, really helped him. He doesn't have to do too much at that quarterback position right now because he's got that running back that, again, can take it the distance.
Yeah, and Hurts is playing great ball, even with the brace on his knee. And your tackling comments, very fascinating. And you know, the other thing about Barkley, he's got such great speed, and you don't realize that speed. You were very fast at the corner. You secondary guys like you can't catch him once he breaks loose like that. It's just amazing. I want to go to break because I want to devote some time to the Browns. Hanford Dixon of the Hanford Dixon Show here on Big Play, our special guest on this version of Bonus Time with Drennan. Back in a minute on Big Play. Welcome back. Bonus Time with Drennan. Big Play. Hanford Dixon, my special guest on today's show. Want to pick your brains about our Browns. What a dilemma we're in. I've been saying for years, if the Watson experiment, I was for it because I didn't think Mayfield was the answer. I could be proven wrong, but so far I haven't been. But I was for it. But I did qualify my statement by saying if this fails, this will set the franchise back at least 5 years, at least. Your take.
But Bruce, I'm laughing because you're not the only one that was for it. I was for it too. I thought this kid was going to come in here, and I thought we were going to get the old Deshaun Watson, the kid that we saw play at Houston. And I mean, boy, were we all wrong with this whole thing. I mean, he's just coming here, and there's no other way to put it. It's just been a disaster. I mean, we haven't gotten the play that we thought that we were going to get out of him. And then he's cost us a ton of money. He's really hurt us as far as the salary cap is concerned.
Yes. And plus, I hear my sources tell me he'll be in the locker room sitting by himself in front of his locker when Flacco saved the day for us last year. All the players were huddling around him.
Yeah. Bruce, you know what killed me? A thing that really got me, I was looking at, I can't remember what game it was, but the Browns were playing. And instead of him being on the field right there with the players, he was up in the, a TV camera went to him and they had a shot of him. He was up in the stands, sitting in the stands, watching the game. Now, that really touched me the wrong way because I'm saying to myself, even if you can't play, you should be down there because you may see something that can maybe help the quarterback or somebody else on that team, and he wasn't in a position to do that. So that kind of upset me. So he has really set us back. And boy, we're still on the hook for about over $70 million, I think, still with this kid. Now, I don't know. Maybe you can give me some insight on this. I know he hurt himself again, but it was not a football related injury. Now, does that mean that we can get some relief?
Yes, it does. There's a clause in that contract, to my knowledge, that will. For what it's worth, save some money, but it still has set the franchise back. Now, let's assume it's over with Watson. Everybody is assuming that this is it. Now what? Do you draft? And, Deion Sanders has said that there's only 2 teams that he doesn't want his kid to play for. One of them might be the Browns, for all we know. But regardless of Ward or Sanders, there's no guarantee that these 2 college kids will be a franchise quarterback when they reach the pros. That's one factor, Hanford. And then the other factor is, well, do you get Cousins? Do you go after Darnold? I think Darnold will re-sign with Minnesota myself. Wilson's going to be available. They can't afford Wilson with what they're burdened with Watson. So what do you do at quarterback?
Yeah, it's a dilemma. It's a hell of a dilemma that we're in right now. And first, let me address the Dion thing. I personally, I've heard all the chatter. I've heard all the talk about Dion, and there's some teams that he don't want his son to go to. But me personally, I don't think he would want to interfere. I don't think he will interfere. The thing is the Cleveland Browns. What the Cleveland Browns got to do right now. Obviously, we got the Shrine Bowl going on right now. Then we have the Senior Bowl. They have to get in there and they have to evaluate all these guys, whether it's at a bowl game or whether it's the private workout or whatever. And I don't care what Dion or what anybody else is getting ready to say. If these guys, if they think this is the guy at the number, you go ahead and you draft that guy. Because if you can't, we're drafting in a position, Bruce, as you well know, that we can't miss. I mean, we cannot miss with this number 2 pick. We have to hit a home run. And we need a quarterback. I mean, if one of those guys, Ward or Sanders, if one of those guys is the guy, you have to go ahead. You have to pick that guy because hopefully we won't be in this position again where we're drafting this high, because when you're drafting this high, we all know what that means. You had a terrible year. I mean, absolutely terrible year.
And I don't blame Garrett and Batonio speaking out. I mean, they're on the back nine of their careers now. I don't blame them for speaking out that, hey, let's go front office. Give me some teammates that we can win the Super Bowl with because of the failure of this Watson experiment.
Yeah, it's a little bit different today with these guys because, it's a little bit hard to handle because these guys are making so much money today that they're not afraid to speak their mind. I mean, me personally, and I don't think any of the guys that when we played that we would say anything like that about the front office or the coaching staff. And but again, I'm not holding that against them. I understand, just like what you said, I understand where guys like that are coming from. And you're talking about two guys, talking about Joe Patonio, Miles Garrett. You're talking about two guys that have been here, two guys that have performed year after year, and they won a championship. They want to win a championship, and they deserve to win a championship, or at least be put in a position where they can win a championship.
Yeah.
And the way this team is going, I mean, it's just not happening. Obviously, we've made a few changes in that coaching staff. It's funny, Dorsey, who was our offensive coordinator, Stefanski was calling the plays before that. If Stefanski would have come to me, if I was Dorsey, halfway through the season and said, I want you to start calling the plays, I'd have looked him right in his eyes and told him, I know you're the head coach, but oh no, I'm not touching that one, because I knew what was happening with that. Yeah. Because if things weren't going right, I knew he was out of here. And look what happened. He's gone. Stefanski has hired a new offensive coordinator. And guess who's calling the plays again? Kevin Stefanski, which I'm not opposed to now. I'm not opposed to him calling the plays. I think he's an excellent play caller, but I just thought that was funny the way that whole thing developed.
I hear you. Getting back to your point about you would Batonio and Garrett speaking out, and the difference is that when you were with the Browns in the 80s, we were a championship contending team every single year.
Right. Right.
Where this is, see, I say this in conclusion, Hanford. I have said this for years. Cleveland Browns fans are the best fans of any team in any of the four major sports because they are the most loyal and loving of the most dysfunctional franchise of all four sports.
Well, Bruce, I'll tell you this. That's one of the things that eat away at me today. I mean, it's just because I agree with you. I agree with you 100% about these Cleveland Browns fans. And the thing that eats away at me is that we lost those 3 AFC championship games. We were not able to get over that hump. We were not able to win one of those games, get to the Super Bowl, win a Super Bowl for not only for ourselves, but for the fans in Cleveland. Because again, you look at these fans, I mean, they have gone through so much. And even when you're not winning, they're still supporting this Cleveland Browns football team. They're there. I mean, they're in the Muni lot. They're at the stadium. They're in their seats. They're again the best fans anywhere in the world. And I agree with you 100%. But again, it eats away at me that we just didn't win the big one, and we didn't win it for them.
Well, and getting back to the very beginning when I featured you here on the show, think of those crowds at Tony Roma's.
Yeah.
And that was a big restaurant, by the way. The line was all the way down to the mall in Great Northern. It's amazing.
Hey, Bruce, and you and I would eat up all the ribs.
Just a little perk for our job that we did for them. Love you, Hanford. Thanks so much. Check out the Hanford Dixon Show here on Big Play. I love you, partner.
You got it, my friend. You got it.
All right. We'll do it again. All right, we'll take a break. We'll be back in a minute. More on Bonus Time Drennan. You're on the Big Play Sport. Special thanks to my partner, Hanford Dixon. Check out his show. Great stuff. Hanford Dixon Show here on Big Play. A couple of stories here I wanted to address before we get to the Ask Bruce segment. How about Ohio State defensive coordinator Jim Knowles, Ryan, leaving the Buckeyes in a parallel position to go to Penn State and work for Franklin as a defensive coordinator because he's now the highest paid defensive coordinator in the history of college football.
It's all about the dollars and cents, Bruce, and all these Buckeye fans are up in arms about it. Oh, he announced it on the day of the parade. He didn't show up to celebrate. I don't care. I'm sorry, they always find something to complain about, in my opinion. Like, it was in his contract to help you go win a national championship and get the silver bullet defense back. That's exactly what he did. It wasn't in his contract to stay there and celebrate with you guys. So I have no problem with it. It was interesting, the fact you go to work with James Franklin, who sucks, by the way. But I have no problem with it, and now he gets to play them every year. So we'll see if they end up... A new rivalry commences, I guess, I suppose.
Do you have any knowledge? I had heard from a couple of sources in Columbus that he and Day didn't necessarily see eye to eye on a few things.
Supposedly, the report is, they were kind of conflicting. There was some beef between Ryan Day and Jim Knowles. He got on Jim Knowles' case after the Oregon game, I believe it was, saying you need to get this defense to step up if we're going to do anything. And that's exactly what they did. I guess he got on he's his boss. He got on his case. Yeah. He made the defense step up. So I think Ryan Day did a good job with that.
Yeah. All right, let me switch to baseball. The truck, which is usually a big thing for the Indians, now Guardians, left Progressive Field and headed for the desert. That's a long truck ride, by the way. And just those drivers, when they get to the Phoenix area, they still got, Goodyear is located. It's like a suburb of Phoenix. It's located in the southwest portion of Phoenix. So you get to Phoenix, you got to go all the way around Phoenix with traffic. That's crazy to get to the Goodyear complex where both the Guardians and the Cincinnati Reds train. Pitchers and catchers will be reporting in just a couple of weeks. First spring training game will be Saturday, February 22nd against Cincinnati. Don't expect to see any spring training games on television. I don't know that for a fact, but no longer will the Guardians be on FanDuel, formerly known as Bally's, formerly known as Fox Sports, formerly known as Sports Time Ohio, where I did that show on the network for 15 years. They're gone. So what does that mean? I'll tell you what it means. It means MLB is taking over, and I don't understand the move. I'm going to do some research after the Super Bowl and contact my sources to see what the thinking was, but it's about they're throwing, I don't understand the logic. They're throwing $30 million away by not keeping the games on the old Bally's, now known as FanDuel. And now Spectrum, I would think, is going to provide a channel for you to see the games, but a lot of you may have to pay extra money to get the app to watch the Guardians this coming season. I'll have more details and facts for you in the coming weeks, but it may be a problem. And of course, you know, it looks like Dolan's only got a couple of more years as the owner. This gentleman that bought into the franchise a few years ago, I think he is, according to the contract and the deal, going to take over in 28. Don't quote me, but I believe that's the case. But stay tuned. I'll find out as much as I can for you on this, but that seems to be the case, that you may have to scramble or pay more money to get the games for this coming season. Season opener will be on Thursday, March the 27th at Kansas City. That'll be a 3-game series. And then on to San Diego, March 31st for a 3-game series against the Padres. From there on to Los Angeles to play the Angels for a 3-game series starting on Friday, April 4th. The home opener will be Tuesday, April 8th against the Chicago White Sox, 3-game series, and then Kansas City will be coming to town for a 3-game series. By the way, I want to applaud the organization for signing Paul Sewald. Sewald, 34-year-old right-hander, has had 4 straight double-digit save seasons with Seattle in 2003. He was 34 of 39 in saves, and he is an excellent addition to an already tremendous bullpen. In my opinion, the best bullpen in the major leagues. He won't even be closing for the Guardians. Clase, he'll be the setup guy for Clase. It just makes the back end of that bullpen even tougher for opposing batters. I think it's an outstanding move, and just so long as we can hit and support this pitching staff, because I think they're going to be really good. Quick comment, Ryan.
Yeah, it's finally past 40 degrees here in Cleveland for the first time in what feels like months. Calendar's about to flip to February, so that means baseball's right around the corner, and I couldn't be more excited, and I know that means you are even more excited than I am.
Well, we look forward to the upcoming season. Like I say, stay tuned. I'll keep you posted, find out as much info as I can for you. All right, when we come back, Ask Bruce segment, that's next. Bonus time with Drennan, big play. Well, been a fun show, and we always conclude with the Ask Bruce segment, which is really my favorite segment, connecting with you fans. So fire away, Ryan.
Alrighty. Hey, Bruce, being the former referee that you are and the fans outside, the Kansas City faithful, are they justified to say/think that the refs are making calls in favor of the Chiefs, and that's why they keep winning in the playoffs?
No. It's total nonsense to think that there is some sort of bias in favor of Mahomes and Kansas City, although I will say there's been some calls that went in their favor that I disagreed with. And, you know, I've always said for years, in movies, who's the best judge of directors but other directors? Actors but actors. Doctors of doctors. Accountants of accountants. Well, it's true of officials, too. Officials critical of other officials. So I will be honest, I've disagreed with several of the calls that have gone in the favor of Kansas City. Now, what they might do too, and I'm not going to be totally opposed to this. I'm reluctant, but I'm not opposed to maybe using automation and technology to determine the spot. I think some of the spotting in the NFL in recent years has been deplorable.
Hey, Bruce, would a Kansas City three-peat be the greatest accomplishment that's ever happened in the 3 major sports? And if not, where would you rank it?
I don't know about that. The Oakland A's under Charlie Finley won 3 World Series in a row. The only franchise to ever do that was the New York Yankees and their storied past. But I will say that in the NFL, there's nothing comparable, especially in this modern day with the parity and the balance of all the teams in both conferences. It's an amazing accomplishment for Reed, who now ranks as one of the winningest coaches of all time. Shula, George Halas, Belichick, all these guys. And of course, Mahomes, who is so special. What a great superstar he is. And he's putting himself in the category now of Brady and some of the greatest of all time. He's in that argument, no question.
Well, it's a perfect transition to this one. Hey, Bruce, do you believe Andy Reid could be the undisputed greatest coach of all time when it's all said and done?
Yeah, he keeps going like this. Why not? And Mahomes is, barring any major catastrophic injuries, he's just going to, if anything, he'll get better. Isn't that scary for opposing teams? Oh, that's right. By the way, the Browns are in the AFC, the same conference as the Kansas City Chiefs, Buffalo Bills, Baltimore Ravens, Pittsburgh Steelers. Oh, God. Next question.
Hey, Bruce, you've been skeptical about Sanders and Cam Ward. Do you have any thoughts about Jalen Milroe out of Alabama, potentially, if the Browns could get him in the second round?
I'm not convinced about him. I think they've got to take a quarterback. You never know. Brady was a sixth-round choice. You never know for sure. But based on what I saw from Milroe, I'm not convinced he's going to be a great NFL quarterback. He might be a backup at best. I could be wrong, but we'll see.
All righty, last.
It's just such a rotten situation we're in. God help us.
It's a good way to describe it, rotten, that's for sure. Alrighty, last one before you flip it over to baseball. Hey, Bruce, do you believe the Guardians are done making moves this offseason?
Not necessarily, but probably. I concluded the last segment with complimenting the organization on the Seawald acquisition. It's do or die for Minnesota. They got to stay healthy. Kansas City's got a very good young ball club, but in my opinion, the team to beat for us is going to be the Detroit Tigers. I think they're going to be our most formidable competition, and especially if they get Bregman. That's still out there, so we'll see. All right, listen, have a great week. That's all the time we have for bonus time with Drennan here on Big Play. I'm Bruce Drennan on behalf of Ryan Smith. Don't miss next week's show as we preview the Super Bowl. That's going to be a lot of fun, and Mark Lawrence will handicap the game for us. So until then, as always, and most importantly, you remember, I love you, Ohio.